Bears fans, thank you for joining Ben and I for yet another episode. We're doing defense today, our defensive NFL draft prospects for the Chicago Bears. I definitely said that wrong. But we're going D-line, linebackers, corners, and safeties. Of course, the Bears are most likely not going to be taking any linebackers or defensive linemen. But corners and safeties, I definitely expect multiple to be taken. They lost Kyle Fuller. They lost Gibson. Lost a lot of guys. Buster Screen, but I don't think many of us hold Buster Screen that highly.
Hated him.
In regard. But let's start with the defensive line. Jalen Phillips was the former number 1 overall recruit in the country, I believe, in 2017. Went to UCLA, grew up in California. Things didn't work out. He played all right, but he took a year off of football, had some issues behind the scenes. Got back into it, transferred over to Miami, and had a very, very impressive 2020 season for the Hurricanes. Just what he needed. I would not be shocked at all to see him in the first round, but he's most definitely a first or second round guy, and I think he'll be picked there. Joe Tyrone is the next guy. Sorry, Ben was trying to cut me off. Ben was trying to chime in. I took a little pause. Joe Tyrone, one of the more underrated defensive ends in this class, went to Washington, not known for their edge guys, known for their defensive tackles and big boys. But Joe Tyrone, very impressive junior season, 27 solo tackles, 8 sacks. Now, he did not play this past year, prepared for the draft. Might have had an injury. I actually forget. I need to research that. But he's back. I definitely expect him to be a day 2 guy, not a day 1, not a day 3. But yeah, we will see. I'll leave the floor to Ben now as he goes over 2 Big Ten guys.
I did slot in 2 Big Ten guys here, and that was just a coincidence. I do not think the D-line is a particular need for the Bears. I will say D-end is higher need than D-tackle, which is why I think all 4 of these guys are D-ends. Kwity Paye was a Michigan dude. And the stats will not blow you away in any of his seasons at Michigan. Honestly, you wouldn't notice him that much. He's just a guy with elite physical tools, a 4.5 40 and 6'4", 272, pretty much what you want to see in a defensive end. And I believe he'll go mid-first round to late first round. At 20, I don't think Bears are going with him. I put him down because, honestly, I don't believe the defensive line is a position of need for the Bears. And then Jason Owa, if that's how you say his name. Owa. This dude from Penn State, 4.37 40. Like, that is insane speed. Montez Sweat on the Washington football team had that type of speed.
Mississippi State defensive end, yeah.
A couple years ago. And, I mean, that is something you love to see out of those D ends. If they can pressure the quarterback instantly, get off the edge, they're scary. And he's 6'5", put on some weight. If he puts on some weight, he's a scary prospect. He's a boomer bust guy, but if he's there in the second or third round, I would look at him.
No, I think Jason Owa is one of the more overrated players in this year's draft. Did not put up great numbers. I don't love his guys as much as
Neither of these guys have good numbers, to be fair. But they're still
Jalen Phillips.
I mean, no, your guys do. My guys are more based on
absolutely,
potential.
Yeah. I wouldn't spend that high of a pick on a guy like that. At least on the defensive line, where the Bears are sitting pretty. I don't picks by Lyle Nichols, Eddie Goldman, and Mario Edwards, and also Khalil Mack. I guess he's kind of a viper. Move to linebacker, probably the position that I would just not even expect a 7th or 6th round pick to go towards. Zaven Collins from Tulsa had one of the more impressive college football linebacking seasons I've seen. He won some defensive award, but did not win the Butt Kiss Award, which is pretty crazy. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah won the Butt Kiss Award, which is awarded to the nation's top linebacker. Manti Te'o and Jalen Smith also received those awards at their time in South Bend. Joseph Osai, I've seen him mocked to the Bears actually in a few mock drafts, which kind of surprised me. Nothing special there. Did have a very good end of the season. Had a monster game against the Oklahoma State Pokes in late October, I believe. In their upset win against the Pokes. And then Micah Parsons is a guy we all know about. 2019, one of the more dominant linebacking years in recent memory. Put up some crazy numbers. Did not play in 2020. Got into some issues. I'm not going to comment on them on the live air, but that some people are like, should this dude even be drafted? What's going to go? Is he going to fall? I guess he's cleared those up because he is still in the lottery of every single mock draft I've seen, and I expect him to fall there. Big time player. If he's there at 20, why not? Usu Koromo, I think, could be there at 20. Zayvon Collins could be there at 20. Osai, I'm pretty certain will. But all these guys, I think, are first or early second round guys, especially Owusu Karamo and Parsons. Collins and Osai I can see in the early second round, but the latter two, those two are most definitely first round picks.
Yeah, Micah Parsons is a top 10, 15 guy for sure.
Now the cornerback position. This might be the most important position across the board. Exciting. Really good class, too. Really, really good class. I will note, who was it? There's some cornerback who's had a bunch of back issues. Oh, what's it? Is it Farley?
I know what you're talking about. I cannot remember that.
I saw a report this morning saying one of them has some bad back issues that have just been talked about now, which sucks for him.
I think it was Farley.
I think it was. I'm looking now.
Yep, Brad, you're right.
It was Farley? Okay. It was Farley. I was really high on him, and that definitely actually hurt where I think he will go, and that will definitely fall. That will make him fall a few picks. I'm just going to say that now. A back issue for any position, but corner especially.
Back surgery on March 23rd. So that is
okay. And back surgery doesn't really do much. It helps for the time being, but it will come back. Let's get focused though. J.C. Horn is a guy who I had no clue about last fall. But come this winter, I just see trash talking videos after the national championship game, just like random college football shenanigans in the offseason when it's boring. And this J.C. Horn dude just stuck out to me. Had an incredible year with 2 interceptions. I believe he did not have any interceptions in his collegiate career leading up to this year. But just played some lockdown football against the SEC's best and college football's best. I really like J.C. Horn. And with Caleb Farley's injury, will he still be there at 20? Probably not. I think he will go in the lottery. Ben can touch on that when he talks about his guys because he has some big first round and second round guys as well. Greg Newsome, I watched the whole Ohio State Northwestern game, and Greg Newsome, that dude stuck out like a needle. The opposite of a needle in a haystack. I don't know why I made that reference. Greg Newsome locked down all of Ohio State's guys. He was matched up on a few. He was matched up on their number one wide receiver, whose name is just absolutely blowing my mind right now.
I know Chris, right? I can't remember his name either.
How are we forgetting this? I mean, this is a chill podcast. This isn't one of our main things, so bear with us.
Olave?
Chris Olave, yes. Yeah. But they also had another one. What's his name?
I can't remember
Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is the name I was thinking of. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave just couldn't do anything. That game was all Trey Sermon. They won that game because of Trey Sermon. Justin Fields also didn't play great. But I believe Greg Newsome was the one that made the one-hand Odell catch to end the first half and save a touchdown. That stood out to me. And Greg Newsome, in my mind, is one of the top corners. Is from Chicago. I will note that out. Was not a high recruit at all. I believe he was outside the top 1,000 according to 247. But yet, he's a first-round lock pretty much. So shout out to Greg Newsome. Caleb Farley, of course, was the guy who I actually had mocked to the Bears. I don't think we made a mock draft, but I expected him to be there at 20 or somehow fall to 20. I usually like to go up a little bit and say this guy will be here, even though he probably won't, just for optimism's sake. But Caleb Farley, talented guy. Did not play this past year, which I think was fine. Virginia Tech didn't have anything on the line, but in 2019, you see that 4 interceptions and 12 pass deflections.
He had one of the highest quarterback ratings out of anyone that year. He's a good prospect. I would have put him down if Brad didn't. You got anything else to say about corners, Brad?
No, I'll leave the floor to you, Ben.
All right, so I just put down 3 guys as well. These are all, with the exception of Eric Stokes, who might be a little later. Joseph and Certain for sure are first and second round guys, in my opinion. Certain, he's the son of former NFL player and
Pat Surtain, yeah.
And Yeah, Surtain, my bad. And this dude is a physical specimen. He's been pretty much in the top 15 of mocks for the past couple years. And I wasn't actually that impressed with him in the college football playoff. I don't know why. He was getting burnt a little bit in coverage, but nonetheless, putting him down here because he is considered the best cornerback in this class by most people. And the one interception, not amazing. But the physical traits don't lie. That I'm not gonna.
He wasn't playing in the second half of most games. I will say he was out.
That's true.
Pretty much after 2 quarters. I would like to.
That's true. That is a good point. Alabama was blowing people out of the water, but nonetheless, he is a top cornerback prospect, and I do believe if he's there at 20, the Bears take him no matter what. But let's move on. Kelvin Joseph, transferred to Kentucky from LSU, where he wasn't feeling it, I guess. He's from Baton Rouge, so he's a hometown LSU guy. But at Kentucky, he was really good. 4 interceptions, and that's pretty. 4 interceptions in a year is really good. 4.34 and a good ball hawk. So that's what you like to see out of your corners. And then Eric Stokes. I read about this guy, former 3-star, 65th ranked recruit in Georgia alone. That is really down there. But turned into first team All SEC player in 2020 and has 4.25 unofficial speed, according to his Georgia Pro Day. That's unofficial. The official time was 4.29, but nonetheless, I was really impressed by that speed. And of course, 4 interceptions, 4 passes defended in 2020. I like Eric Stokes a little higher than where he is being put in mock drafts.
Yeah. Agree with what Ben says. Sorry, I was doing something else. But yeah, 3 guys to know about, and then my 3 guys right here. Now let's go to safety. I said corner was the most important position. I might be wrong. I'm going to stick with corner, though, just on the fact that this safety class isn't crazy. It's not nuts, but it is very good. I read something earlier today about Trevor Moehrig, or however you say it. Moehrig. Yeah. Absolute beast. This dude is a stud. In my opinion, he's by far the best corner. Balled out at TCU. TCU actually sneakily has some very good DBs. Got the size, 6'2", 200 plus. 2 interceptions is solid. It is the Big 12, granted, but TCU's defense was holding people to not a crazy amount of points, which in the Big 12 is good. And then Javon Holland is my second dude from British Columbia. He played his high school ball in California at one of those big-time schools. Had a really good 2019 season, decided to leave. That definitely hurt Oregon this past year. He would have, I think, risen upwards. I think he should have stayed and played this year, but he didn't. Most likely will be a first 2-round pick. If he's there in the second round at 52, you most definitely have to pick Javon Holland. And then Moehrig, if he's there at 20, I would love to pick him too. And then I'll leave the floor to Ben for Andre Cisco.
I put down Andre Cisco, who would have been really high or higher than he is. He did suffer a torn ACL, which is why his 2020 season stats are not amazing. His season was cut short. But going back to 2018-19, he had 12 interceptions in those years, which is really impressive. He also is a little injury prone, so that basically had 12 interceptions in like under 12 games split, I read. So that's ball hawk right there. 4.5 speed, not amazing, but not terrible.
And as a safety, you don't need that.
Yeah, you don't need the same speed as corners need as a safety. That's not your job. The ball hawk ability is what I like to see, though. 12 interceptions in 2018-19. Flashed really good plays on tape if you watch his highlights. So I like Andre Cisco as a later guy because he was injured, so he will fall through the draft a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think that's all Ben and I have for today, though. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. We did our offense 2 days ago. That video is our most recent video, so just click on our channel, uploads. It should be right there. We'll see what happens. I am pretty much loaded with schoolwork in these next few weeks. Water polo as well. If you guys don't know, I play water polo. Ben too. We're loaded. We're busy, but we'll get some videos out this summer.
School year right now.
So. This summer should be pretty big with a ton of videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. For Ben and Brad,